Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Icarus, and I'm once again doing another vlog style thing because I thought it would be fun to continue to try this sort of thing. Plus, I just cleaned my living room, so why not? Ignore the water conditioner in the background. I just added some more water to my big old fish tank, which you see the corner of right here. You may see a fish come up and figure out what the fuck I'm doing. You may not. Today is another sex ed video, and I am going over myths about the penis again. So we're going to talk about myths, facts, and some interesting things that I discovered along the way. Starting with size. Is bigger better, and why do we think it's so? Well, the answer is no. Bigger is not better, and I'm not just saying that to make people feel better about themselves. The vaginal canal and the rectum are only about 6 inches long at most. So, with the average penis size being 3.5 to 5 inches, depending if you are flaccid or erect, you end up being just the perfect size for your partner. In fact, there are some vaginal canals, it's a spectrum just like with penises, so it can be 3 to 6 inches. Rectum, typically about 6 inches. Any further and you are just hurting your partner, either by poking them in the cervix if you are doing vaginal sex, or poking them in their colon if you're doing anal sex. And considering the fact that the rectum in general is already a little more dirty from the fact that we defecate from it, you end up running the risk of tears and infection, and then you can't have anal sex with your partner anymore. Go figure. And let's go back to the statistics. So like I said, the average length is about 3.5 to 5 inches, depending if you're flaccid or erect. That is because 4 out of 5 people with a penis end up being growers and not showers. Showers are people who, when they are erect or flaccid, they're about the same length, or versus the growers, where they actually become larger when they are erect. Other popular myths include if you are circumcised, you will experience less pleasure during sex. This isn't actually statistically known. It is mostly from anecdotal evidence, and the idea behind it is that the foreskin will protect the head of the penis, which has a lot of nerve endings that feel pleasurable for penetrative or other modes of sex. But even if you find yourself feeling like you're not getting so much pleasure from the tip of your penis, there are a myriad of other ways that you can either self-pleasure or have a partner do. It's not just a stroke and choke or anything like that. And if you are someone who doesn't want to experience sexual pleasure at any rate, you don't have to necessarily worry about accidentally doing it, because I know some people will experience dysphoria, or they will just not be interested and be worried about potentially having the act or having a mission. And it's alright. There is a myriad of different ways that you can experience pleasure. If you do experience an erection without necessarily having a stimuli that you would consider pleasurable, that's also normal. Just like where people with vaginas can't really control if they start lubricating themselves, a person with a penis can't really control if they get a random boner. It's totally normal. You're okay. There are ways to deal with it, either by trying to think of something or excusing yourself to the bathroom to readjust yourself so that is not so obvious. And I will also say, as someone who has been out in the world, it's not going to be super noticeable unless you happen to be hung like a porn star. So let's actually go back to porn, because porn makes so many of these myths, including the size. You have to know that actors in porn tend to be cast a certain way, but they also have tricks to make the penis look larger. Anything from camera angles to, most commonly, you'll see that the men are shaved, and that helps the penis look larger, because then you are seeing everything from the tip to the root instead of it disappearing into your pubic hair. So that may be something that you choose to do if you are really insecure, and see how you like it. Just be careful, shave with the hair graying. Don't shave against it, because otherwise you're going to have ingrown hairs, and those hurt and will kind of ruin the whole effect that you're going for to begin with. Another big thing from porn is the fact that men, and once again I'm using the word men in a sort of heterosexual porn sense, but the men seem to go on forever. This is once again mostly movie magic. What we don't notice is they tend to cut from different angles, and they also will have breaks, and all of this ends up with them compiling it all together to the point where it looks like the person is pounding away for 10 minutes, half an hour, even longer. If you find yourself not being able to match up to this, it's totally fine. If you have a partner that also has a penis, feel free to engage in foreplay that indulges their needs. Or if you have someone with a vagina, you can again engage in foreplay, because people with vaginas actually orgasm mostly from external stimulation. So you don't have to go on forever, and you shouldn't feel insecure. Sorry, Charlie is just making his way over. He is our larger algae eater that we adopted. So you can see him like right here. Anyway, so if you're a pump and dump, you're fine. You're not a chump. You just learn how to pleasure your partner in other ways. Let's also talk a bit about the scrotum, because people talk about penis myths a lot. They talk about the length and how you shouldn't expect to be a porn length. They talk about how long to go, how you can have involuntary erections, that sort of thing. I see a lot of that. I don't see much talk about the scrotum. So the scrotum is actually where your sperm is created. And these gonads are very similar to a person with a vagina's ovaries. So where the reason why people with ovaries are considered biologically female and people with testes are considered biologically male is because in biology, the gonads that create the large gametes and are considered biological females, and the creatures that create small gametes, so like sperm, are considered biologically male. Just a fun fact for you. But why is it that the ovaries get to be inside of the body, but the testes have to be outside? It actually has to do with how sperm react to heat. So you will end up having, sperm reacts to warmth by sort of waking up and going, which means if they are warm, then they'll die, essentially, for lack of a better word. They will expire much more quickly, and we are evolutionarily designed to procreate. That's also why we end up being peak physically into like the late 20s, 30s, because we were, over the millennia that we were evolving to the point where we could procreate and have children. Then after that, our body's like, we've done it, we're done, goodbye. Until you end up having back problems and stuff later on, because evolution didn't decide to continue on going for that. It went for what will get us to the point that we fuck and create, and then fuck everything else. So that is why the testes are kept outside, and there's actually this common thing where the testes and the scrotum may end up withdrawing into the body a bit, or they will dangle more freely. And this is because you have a muscle there that will control according to heat, and not just heat. If you are perceiving a potential danger to your scrotum, even subconsciously, it will start to withdraw a bit. And this isn't for a one-all thing, because most people have two gonads, so you have two testes, and they can move independently. This is how you'll end up with your scrotum having one testes up higher than the other. because they are adjusting according to their individual needs. So it's pretty cool because testes seem to be fairly smart for a function of your body that doesn't have a brain. I find it fascinating, at least. Another reason why people will be much more cringy about the idea of having their a kick to the balls or anything is another evolutionary situation, because your gonads are external and you need those to reproduce. You have a more of a cringe reaction to the idea of them being damaged as opposed to your spleen or your arm, because you don't really need your spleen or your arm to reproduce, but you do need your sperm. Next thing, we are going to talk about blue balls real quick. So, this is a common thing. You are about to go fuck, or you have gotten an erection but you don't want to do anything with it. Maybe you got to the point where you were about to orgasm and then something happened. Either you willfully decide not to do it, or you get consent withdrawn at the last minute, or you are engaging in a sexual act that requires you to not orgasm, like edging. So blue balls is actually an effect that makes the person with testes uncomfortable for a time, and it's very much like having a sneeze and not finishing it. So there are two parts to ejaculation. There's the emission and then there's the actual orgasm. When you are experiencing blue balls, it's because you have started emission where the sperm is leaving, but you haven't finished the job, so to speak. So just like with the sneeze, the start of the sneeze is the emission, and the final achoo is the final bit. And all this means is that, if you've ever stopped to sneeze, it hurts for a minute, it's uncomfortable, and then it goes away. Same thing with blue balls. So if anyone ever complains about blue balls, don't listen to them. If you are uncomfortable and you don't want to continue an act, and like this is a series that is dedicated to queer and asexual people in particular, because I grew up ace and I didn't know any of this stuff, so I would read about it in erotica and that sort of thing, and if I had been sexually active at the time, I also would have been manipulated by these sort of things, but I'm giving you this information now. It's important, in my opinion. Let's see. And the last thing I wanted to go over is castration. So castration is something I wanted to talk about simply because I know eunuchs are very popular in fantasy series, and I wanted to make sure that we understood what it was, because I used to think it meant that they cut off the penis. I didn't really think about the scrotum all that much. Castration is the removal of the testicles. So when you are talking about stuff like Catholic choir boys would be castrated, they would remove the testicles, and that is how they were able to keep their voices so high. It's because they removed the main mode of creating testosterone, so they didn't have that sort of male puberty. And another fun fact is apparently eunuchs tend to live a little longer than people who haven't been castrated. I think that's just a fun fact on my end. But I wanted to end it on not really a lighter note, because castration is a very serious thing, but a note. We're ending it on a note, and we're apparently ending it with Charlie wanting to say hi. Oh, are you leaving? I was going to turn the camera over to you. Let's see if I can't do it. Alright, Charlie. Tell everyone to stay hydrated, and we'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye. And just as an extra treat, Dandelion is adjusting to everything very well. and he wishes y'all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday.